Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Friends. I'm really looking forward to this interview tonight because I worked in the media my entire life, and I always just value the importance of the media. But today, you hear so much about people saying the media is bad and the media does this and that, which is so wrong because the media is really a force for so much good in the world. So we're going to connect what I just said with an organization, a TV station in Miami, and a nonprofit that have come together. It's 30 years ago, and have been doing amazing work for South Florida. I mean, it's work to me that really has had an impact on our community and thousands of people, or should I say even millions of people over the years. So today we are going to be talking with Nelly Rubio, who is the founder of Neighbors for Neighbors, and Katy Meagher, who's the Executive Director of Neighbors for Neighbors at WFOR, CBS in Miami. And I'm going to start with Nelly, only because Nelly was the first to be not just involved, but to create this whole organization, to create Neighbors for Neighbors. Nelly, take us back to it's 30 years. Happy anniversary to you, to Katy, to the organization 30 years ago when you really had this idea, just an amazing idea that has lasted.
Well, it's gone way beyond my imagination or anything that I ever thought would happen. Thank you, Meredith, for focusing on our project and our nonprofit. So, the state at the time of Hurricane Andrew in August 1992, which was actually, when we turned 30 years old, in August 29th, the station was a victim of the storm. We were at the time Channel 6, and our tower was in South Dade, and it collapsed. And so, I was called by management. We have to do something to help the community. What can we do? And I had this phone bank that I had put together for another project of 15 lines. That I said, why don't we take those phone lines and open them up and tell people, if you want help, call us. If you need help, call us. And, everybody's fine. The promotion director said, oh, yeah, let's call it Neighbors Helping Neighbors. Fabulous, So we tried to do that, but the Miami phone lines were not working. It was, it's really difficult. So Bell South at the time, providing the service, said, why don't you move to Broward? So we did. We moved into the Fort Lauderdale JCs. And that's where on August 29th, we turned on all the phones and started broadcasting live from there. We had reporters. We have my dear friend Bob Soper, who was our meteorologist at the time, there helping and going live. And so the phones started ringing like crazy. And we said, oh man, this works. And then people wanted to do projects. They wanted to do collections. It was like the ideas were coming in from our viewers of how they wanted to help. But it was difficult to reach people in need of help because they didn't have phone lines, they didn't have electricity and so on. So then we moved we had an operation, we kept the phone lines in Broward, but we set up a camp in South Dade in the Goulds area. And there we had trailers, we had all kinds of people helping. And so those that needed help were coming in, and we kept communicating that information to the phone bank, and matches were being made. People were taking strangers into their homes. That was, for me, that was like the most amazing thing. And of course, the CBS attorneys, because at that time, CBS still owned this operation, it wasn't a nonprofit yet. So the CBS attorneys were going crazy with this idea that I was allowing this to happen. But, but it happened, and we had absolutely no problems. Anyway, so 3 months into this, things are getting better. There are a lot of other ways that people can reach help. And my bosses at the station said, hey, we spend a lot of money on this already. We had to shut it down. I said, absolutely not. This is an amazing concept and it works. And I said, allow me to turn it into a nonprofit. I had come from the nonprofit world before I went into television. And I said, let me turn it into a nonprofit. So we did that. And at the time, the IRS was very generous, with any organization helping hurricane victims. So we did, and we started with $150,000 donation from the CBS Foundation. And then a little bit after that, as we started just opening the phone banks for anybody in need. It became more like, helping local families in need. We worked a lot with other nonprofits and so on. So it expanded. Maybe like in 1993, then Lynn came on board, Lynn Cameron, as executive director. And so the 30th anniversary of Lynn's coming in is now in 2023. So then, Lynn retired. She was with us, Katy, for
26 years.
Yeah, maybe Katy, let us
So I'm gonna pass it on to Katy because
bring
Katy can
us
explain.
into that's how it started. And
Right.
like you say, it was really kind of an emergency kind of situation, and you all felt that it was just going to end, right? It was over. And you fought, right? Which is really a good message to people, that if someone tells you no, you work for an organization or a company and you know something is good, be like Nelly, right? Keep going.
Right.
Keep
Well,
going.
I'm sorry, just to say that, it was the mistake of the promotion people that kept saying that the station was committed to help rebuild South Florida. And I said, hey guys, we're not rebuilt yet. So we're going to be reneging our commitment. So that's what got me, the approval.
And you did. And then Katy came in. Katy, I'm thinking, what, about 15 years ago?
Not
right?
quite, but yeah, it seems like
Oh,
forever. Yeah, I'm about 10 years now. And but in that time, the organization has, named the storm, right? But then also things that you've never even heard of, individuals in need, just like Nelly said, we were helping connect those. One of the things that our forte is really rooted in is finding those unmet needs. Where's that gap? Because people will call Neighbors for Neighbors looking for a particular assistance, but that doesn't exist. But it's like, okay, but wait a minute, maybe you could get this instead. We can help fill that, and then sometimes it's situations where they're much more dramatic, maybe a fire or something like that. And our partnership with the television station allows us to then use that power of media to garner support from the community. So we talk about a veteran who's got a leaky roof, or a family who's had a fire, or, now recently, we're talking about the floods, for example, and until just the other day, there was no FEMA help. So there was no place where people could go that were uninsured or underinsured to get the assistance they needed to literally get themselves to higher ground. And still there's still limited funds. FEMA is only a Band-Aid, really. So what happened? So organizations like Neighbors for Neighbors, we are now stepping up and filling those gaps. For example, people needed mattresses, vacuum cleaners. Think about lower levels on the home, right? What was down on the lower levels that was destroyed, things like that, but there's so much more. We're only going to be able to scratch the surface, but that's what makes us so unique. But what really sets us apart is Neighbors for Neighbors, I like to say, is probably the least self-serving organization you've ever met. Everything we do is to support others, whether it's individuals or even other nonprofits. So we're helping to bolster our nonprofit community, which is really a business community, but just a business of doing good. We aren't selling products per se, but we are there providing a service that is unparalleled. And the nonprofit community is probably the biggest powerhouse there is next to the government, because the government's limited. So who then do you reach out to for help? And so we come together, and then, these organizations, they're rooted in maybe one particular, aspect of serving the community. So for example, Jack and Jill centers, they are, an educational platform. They provide schooling and early education, but then they've got families who've had the flood, affect them. So now we can help bolster that and bring, you know, assistance to those families. And we do that through so many campaigns. I mean, Adopt a Family is our longest running.
Well, I
That
wanted
we,
to mention something about that. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah.
What I wanted to say, first of all, it might be confusing because I said that we used to be called Neighbors Helping Neighbors and that we were Channel 6. But the station later on became Channel 4.
Channel 4,
Too
right.
long of a story to go into. But so that's where the name was changed to Neighbors for Neighbors. But what I want to talk about Adopt a Family, because I think that's kind of like one of the things that touches my heart the most, because Adopt a Family was started not by us, but by the community. That first year, they started calling us. I mean, a lot of organizations, you know, like businesses, individuals, they wanted to dedicate that holiday to the families that were victims of the hurricane. And so the woman that I had hired at the time, Sheila, she said, well, let's just call it Adopt a Family for the Holidays. And the name stuck. And these people, Katy and Lynn and all the staff have kept it going. And they have an amazing system in place.
Oh yeah, what used to be like back in the day on paper, now we have a proprietary website that basically kind of acts like almost like Match.com. It allows, we worked last year alone with 40 different nonprofits, their social workers. They submitted 702 families into the system, put in profiles, you know, no pictures and, you know, but stories about the situations that the families are going through. And then it allows the community to go on and search the site by not only geographic location, but family size, and then read those profiles and really understand what the needs are of these families. But the best part of the whole thing is the one-on-one aspect. You get to meet the families that you're helping. So it's not just like Angel Tree, which is still wonderful, but that's you know, an anonymous card you see with an anonymous child. You buy a gift and you just put it in the box and the child gets the gift, but you don't ever get to meet the family. Because one of the things that we know to be true at Neighbors for Neighbors, and this has been forever, is that, you know, we're more alike than we are different. And it's usually just the financial divide that separates us. And when these families get to meet each other, they realize, I mean, you know, we even know in the homeless world, I mean, one paycheck alone, $500 could send a family into a cycle that they can't recover from. And then the next thing you know, it's a lost wages. I mean, keep going back to the flood, for example, but that's because it's so relevant that these families who say lost their cars or were out of work for a few days, that is for them devastating. It isn't a couple days off, you know, respite at home. It is, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay my bills? I need every single penny, not just every dime, but every penny I make. And so that's where, you know, where we come in and give the opportunity to the community to step up and help and be that conduit for good, that coordinator, you know, connecting those in need with those who can help is, you know, exactly what we do every day.
Katy,
And
it must be very fulfilling. I mean,
it is there. It's yeah.
your
Because
work about every day saying, oh my God, I'm going to be doing great things for the community and I can help. Obviously, you can't help every single person, but you know that you have the ability to help so many people. What does that feel like?
it's amazing. And the better part is that outside of the box, I hate that term, but everybody knows what it means.
Yeah.
Thinking where's that untraditional way of doing things. And admittedly, it gets me in trouble because people want to do things the way they've always done it. And that's why they put me in this job, right? Because I am creative. I was dressed like a ringmaster last night at our 30th
We're going to show some
anniversary event.
pictures of last night, the
But
celebration.
I'm not your traditional CEO. Everybody's like, you're not like other CEOs. And I'm like, well, I don't know what other CEOs are supposed to be like, but I've never
We
been
couldn't have picked a better one.
Thank you. And I was, you know, the little fun story. So when I used to work at the television station too, as well. And so Nelly's been a mentor of mine forever. I joke since the 1900s because I started at the television station back in 97. So, and I look young, but I'm a lot older than I look.
Oh,
And Yeah. So people are usually surprised.
It's
And
that cuteness.
yeah, it's that little, keeping young vigor kind of thing. But I worked in first the promotions department, then moved over into public affairs, and that's where I got to know Nelly and got to learn about the community that we live in and are part of, and got to meet all these great nonprofits. And then eventually the stations merged. So I was originally at Channel 33, which is also a partner with Channel 4. And then the stations merged, and then I started doing more things. And then there was sadly a big layoff, but it was corporate wide across all the stations in 2008. And I left and went to Susan G. Komen. And so I got to cut my teeth in a really major nonprofit that, of course, serves the globe, and learn a lot about that. And then left there, but then the opportunity, I initially thought I was going in for a job interview, and little did I know, and to this day I'm still very flattered that there had been a meeting about me. And so Nelly, Lynn Cameron, our previous executive director, the previous producer, the promotions director for the television station, and I don't know, God, they all came together, and I guess had, now Lynn's going to retire, we got to think about long-term, succession plan type thing.
You were it, right?
But I had no idea. I came in, I'd lost my mojo, I think, to be honest. And when I came in for the interview, it was the slide the money across the table. I think they were all thinking that I wasn't going to take it. And when I was like, all those, yeah, little did they know, I was like, oh my God. But at the time I had no idea what this was going to become for me. And I mean, I loved my job. I was the producer, and it was amazing. But then as I grew, I guess 10 years, it's a long time. The realization was I was meant to do this. I mean, that may sound immodest, but that is who I am. I am that connector. I'm the person that overhears you in the grocery store that you don't know where something is, and then I'll tell you where it is. And they, some people look at me like, I can't believe you were listening to me. And others are like, oh God, thank you so much.
Oh, you're an angel. Katy, would you say you were born to do this even when you were a child, or
I was always that,
the connector and help people, or did this later?
Although she was meant to be a singer. She's an amazing.
Hey, you didn't tell me that.
I used to.
We'll get some music today.
I still sing to this day. In fact, one of our partner organizations had their gala, and I sang at their gala. But I used to sing the national anthem for the Miami Heat and the Florida Panthers.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day. But I went to school originally at University of Miami as a voice major with the hopes to be a pop star, but realized I was more interested in the lighting and the sound and what was happening. So I ended up going in to school for video production. And then that led me to the career in television, which then led me to nonprofits. But yeah, I've always been kind of, some people think a little bit busybody or whatever, but definitely if I hear somebody needs something, I'm not just gonna, and my husband will be like, oh my God, but then one day my husband says, so I overheard someone in the store and they said they needed something, and I told them where it was. And then he's like, I channeled my inner Katy.
Oh,
I'm so proud of you.
He knows how lucky he is, Katy, and how you've changed his life. And I'm sure you've changed the lives of the people in the media that you've worked with. I want to just touch on this kind of this feeling in the air today, which is like hopelessness, I mean, I was reading even about New York City that, people feel that it's in bad shape because of things happening in New York or San Francisco. And I mean, what would you say to other cities that, and just, or the feeling in the country that people feel of like, God, things are really bad, things are getting worse. What do you say to people like that?
Well, I mean, don't believe the hype, right? I mean, the news is important and we should watch it, but at the same time, take it with a grain of salt and understand that, that's like somebody telling a story. But there are people doing good work, and it's impossible to spread the message of all the things that are happening, because none of these problems are new. we have so much more information bombarded at us all the time. Social media, 24-hour news channels, notifications on our phone. Actually, Neighbors for Neighbors is trying to do something about that. We have a mental wellness campaign, and one of the things we're talking about is protecting yourself in your cyber presence, understanding what it means. That little device, which is funny, it's right in front of me right now, and I literally have to like shut it off. But we're basically kind of hurting ourselves emotionally, and that hopelessness can be avoided. Sometimes you just got to put down the phone. I actually speak for Women Leading Broward as a leading lady, talking about risk taking, and I talk about FOMO and how don't let other people, what you see in their social media, that selfie, think about how many selfies they took before that, the one they posted, right? Like even right now, like how much I fixed my hair before I went live, kind of a thing. We are, as I should just have done, like this famous actresses that take off all their makeup and their hair looks horrible. And, like the difference of Oprah, like how she looks with her makeup done without, the reality that's real. And what I've always actually found, which is so ironic, women, ironically, more look at women who are made up. Men actually prefer makeup-free women. They like us more plain Jane. So the point of that is that, that I think we look at ourselves, we're a much more critical eye to ourselves than others are. And so it's easy to get caught up in the, this is bad, this is bad. But if you asked 5 other people, you get a totally different story. I was just in New York just the other day, and let me tell you, they're the happiest people in the world, but that's because they can smoke pot wherever they want. So, and they do. So you can't be sad if you're like super chill all the time. And I kid about that, but it's
really the way
yeah.
to.
But everybody was so happy and fun, and maybe I'm on vacation, so there's a different look. But I know the realities. I mean, I saw the homeless, and I don't know why anybody would want to be homeless in New York, not that you choose it, but it's a horrible thing. But I know that's what keeps me going, is these organizations and these people I work with. The room that was filled last night was so many nonprofit partners.
We're going to show a little bit right now.
Yeah.
We have a few pictures that I actually grabbed, I think, off your site and took last night at your 30th anniversary celebration, which was held at Gulfstream Racetrack.
Yeah, at the Carousel Club, this great
didn't
venue.
see any horses running, but a beautiful night. Which is just showing a few of the photos of things that of things that you
Yeah,
did.
we showed some, of course we have the, power of television behind us. So we videos and this is from our adoptive family program. Excuse me. And I mean, look at the gifts. I mean, that's just for one family, and it's so great. This event, 50 families were served just at this particular event, and I mean, they had the best time. And when we do this with some great partners, and that's what it is, all about collaboration, organizations coming together. And there's Nelly,
founder of Neighbors for Neighbors.
yeah,
right?
And this was like our
years ago.
farm share event. There's a great organization called Harvest Drive. They I mean, grassroots, nobody even gets paid at that organization, but every week they're providing food to those in need. And like literally volunteers packing bags, and then organizations come and pick up these bags, and back during COVID, we're hand delivering them to the doorsteps of those who couldn't get out, and for a multitude of reasons, maybe immune compromised, couldn't get to the store, or also out of work and didn't have the funds to even go to the store to get food. Really great, really great. And our simple mission to connect those in need with those who can help. I mean, it's what thrives us, every day to do what we do. And I tell you, there not a day goes by that people are like, hey, I have an idea, I want to run by you, because it's not just about me. We're bringing resources. I mean, in fact, in the past 3 years, we've done $4.6 million. And to give you some perspective, typically we do about $800,000 a year in services to the community. So now we're well beyond that.
There you
there
are.
I am.
Let's bring that.
So that hat was pretty much stapled to my head.
Look at that.
Adorable.
It was funny. I think some people who didn't know me thought I was part of the entertainment because we had entertainers
Yeah.
there. So they would kind of looked right by me and I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Katy, the CEO of Neighbors Nelly. They was like, oh, in fact, some people didn't even recognize me that knew me. A couple of our former board members walked right by me and went, oh my gosh, look at you. So
The
but that was,
multi-talented
Yeah.
Katy.
Yeah.
And
All right.
Nelly with a few people.
Yeah.
So many people that I met last night, being there, getting to go there. We're just all involved. Okay, now what we're gonna say about
the prize winner of the
I
night. She took
won
home the
lottery
coveted.
last night, right?
Yeah.
I bought some tickets and look what I won. I won all kinds of things owned by Alonzo Mourning. That was one. His basketball, my grandson's going to be very excited about that one.
Oh yeah, that's
T-shirt, his hat,
Legend.
all of this. I couldn't believe that I actually, when I saw that I had the correct number, I was like, oh my God. So that was exciting. And then I won again, which is really weird. I don't know anyone. There's no way this could have happened. From the Hard Rock, I won a guitar and some other things. So I just wanted to throw that.
More than a guitar.
Yeah, a lot.
Stay at the hotel, dinner at one of their fancy schmancy restaurants. You're gonna have a really great
I
stay.
couldn't believe that that this happened to me. I don't think anybody else could believe 2 in one night, really. So anyway,
Meredith
Nelly and
was my
me.
guest. She was my guest, and you can imagine how happy I was that
And then to have this today, it was obviously the universe knew.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. I want to ask you one more question.
Oh, I wanted to answer one question that you made, like about the hopelessness, if I may, please.
Yes, please.
Real briefly. What and I think you and I had this conversation. How I deal with it is like one person at a time. Help one person at a time. And if that helping that person provides hopes to that person and hope to yourself, you are contributing through, reducing the hopelessness. So, what was it? The starfish concept, that they say, you find a starfish on the sand and, needs to get back in the ocean. So you just pick it up and you throw it back. You're not going to save all the starfish. You're not going to save all the fish, but you will save that starfish. So that's really the concept. And Lynn is big on kindness, and she really instilled that in a lot of us, right, Katy?
Yeah.
She started a random acts of kindness campaign where she has like these little cards made up and she would give it to strangers. And that, I think, it has so much to do. And my advice to anyone that's feeling, hopeless or so, look at what you can do to help one person. That's all. And that feels so good, right?
Well, we have a saying, helping feels good at Neighbors for Neighbors. We know
that is such a beautiful message and an important message, because even people that help can feel helpless and hopeless, right? Because they feel they're not doing enough. And when you feel that, then there's no satisfaction. There's no pleasure in what you even did, because you're thinking about all the other problems. So it's really important, whatever you do, to help people, to give kindness, love, connect to people like you do wherever you are, Katy, and Nelly does the same, I know, is to just be happy with whatever it is that you can do, and it's not about ego, it's about the desire to help, to give. I want to just end on one more point. I hope people watch and they say, gee, how can I be involved? And there is a way, because I looked on your site. There's all kinds of organizations that you can sign up for, right? Maybe explain that.
Well, obviously you can support us with a donation. That's always helpful. Yeah. And it doesn't take much, because a little goes a long way. Yeah. And but then also we're doing all kinds of things. We have our Food Fight campaign, which is a food insecurity campaign, and we're providing volunteers so you can go and volunteer at one of these food distributions. And then also our back to school campaign, which during the summertime, we're helping students get back to school, both in Dade and Broward counties, get them all the supplies they need, uniforms, shoes. So there's volunteering opportunities there as well. And then of course, Adopt a Family, which is so great. That's one-on-one. And then just throughout the year, I mean, things come up all the time, like flood relief efforts. Now we're going to be bringing back, because COVID kind of put it on hold, but it's called Operation Candy Corn, which is a costume drive. So if you have an old costume that your kid, because a lot of kids wear it like the one day and then they grow out of it, but then you like maybe kept it, you didn't throw it out. My daughter always saves all her costumes right in the bag because she's only wearing it for like an hour while she trick or treats. But those costumes are gold to another child. So we collect all those costumes and then we pair up with schools that are, low income, and that the families, even though they could, a $5 costume is a lot if you're, trying to really, really make ends meet. And it just absolutely the best thing. So, I mean, so many ways where we're just always, there to, so sometimes just call us and say, hey, I have this, because maybe you have a talent or a treasure that you can share, because, even if you have something to give, we can find the best place for that to go. People call us all the time and say, we don't take furniture and things like that. There's organizations that do that. But, one time we got a call from a company that was delivering an entire tractor trailer of cauliflower rice. And but it was rejected by the grocery chain that couldn't take it. So we were able to get it to our partners at Farm Share, and that was $300,000. And but they called Neighbors for Neighbors. They didn't know what to do, and they're like, he's like, I'm on my way to the dump. We're like, don't go to the dump, pass the dump, turn left, and go to Farm Share right there. And it was funny because he was a little annoyed because it took 15 minutes for me to coordinate this. And he was annoyed. I thought, that's pretty good, actually. Sorry.
I want to mention Farm Share is another miracle story that, had so much to do with Neighbors as well. Farm Share started before Hurricane Andrew. I think it was in 1990. And it's based in South Dade. And we found out about it. And so I contacted the executive director, who is really a volunteer that's putting it together. And actually through the CBS Foundation, we gave them the first grant of $10,000 so that she could at least set up her.
And now they're statewide. They basically invented the drive-through food distribution, and one of our closest partners, we work with them, all the time, because especially during COVID, I mean, what they did was already a well-oiled machine, and they were able to jump right into place, and they're fantastic. And so, and that's a power of collaboration. We know that if every organization works in a silo, you're only going to get so much done. But when you branch out and we can all help each other, that it takes a village. It really does. Yeah. And we have
that's a great way of putting it, Katy. It really is. Yeah. There's enough for all of us, then no one gets too much. We all get enough. And because we all do things differently. And when we work together, though, you can't have a choir without all the different voices, right? So go back to my singing days. But when we all, maybe some of us don't sing, maybe some of us are great with snacks, maybe some of us are, whatever, you don't have to sing to come along with my band. But, as long as you like tequila, then we're good.
You truly are bringing the community together, both of you.
Yeah, I love it.
Nelly, and Nelly's involved with all sorts of nonprofits. I know she doesn't have a moment in the day. And I think from the second you get in to your office or wherever it is that you work, I don't think you stop all day. So if anyone does want to contact, the best thing is neighborsforneighbors.org, right?
Correct.
Neighbors for the number.
Social media.
Social media.
Social media, your social media. And I wanted to just stress, there's also yes, you need, of course, donations, but also that there's so many things that I saw. If you want to work in a community garden, or if you want to help out in different places, like you said,
Yeah.
feeding people or whatever. There's so many things that one can do. And I think this is important because this gives hope, you know, when people feel that they can help others, as you were saying, you know, with
Yeah.
this beautiful interview, the two of you. So
Well,
I
you know that I
so
find out what they're up to because I'm no longer at the station and I'm on an advisory board, but I find out what they're up to through social media, you know, through Facebook.
Yeah, we're
Instagram,
on all the things. We're not
on
we're
all
not
the platforms.
TikToking yet, but you know, soon.
The what?
We're not TikTokers yet, but soon.
yeah.
No, right.
You will
But
be.
Twitter.
LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, a little bit of Twitter.
So
I mean, I
people can
feel like
learn about
Twitter's going away, but
they
yeah.
can learn about what you're doing and how they can get involved. That to
Yeah.
me is, or what they need, one or the other.
Also, they can find out through Channel 4 because Channel 4 actually runs PSAs for Neighbors with
Right.
some of
So-
the biggest campaigns.
Yeah,
so-
that's one of the ways that we support our organization is through sponsorships, which allow us to then, we run those PSAs to promote the things that we're doing, you know, and garner the support of the community. But you know, that's, you know, how we keep doing what we're doing. So.
And another
as
thing
long
is
as-
their YouTube channel. Sorry to interrupt, but
Oh, yeah,
I'm a
YouTube,
PR person.
we're
I
all
gotta
over.
do this. But they have a YouTube channel, and I, you know, that's a lot of times that's how I watch what they're doing because you know I might not have gotten it on the TV at the time that it was airing. So they have annual specials, right, Katie?
Yeah, and then also we do, now we have a full-time producer that edits and produces everything we do. So now we are able to make, so for example, we do something, a longer playing, because our special, we do 2 specials a year that run on CBS 4 and My TV 33, that, you know, are kind of condensed versions of the past 6 months. But if you go on our YouTube channel, you'll see the longer playing versions of those, you know, whatever we've done from, you know, work helping with Surfside or, you know, things like that. So it gives you a little deeper dive into what we're doing. And you see those on social media too, but on our YouTube channel, they're there all the time. And you can even go back for a long time and see all the past too.
Yeah.
So-
Well, it sounds to me like you just never stop, and it's all about goodness, bringing goodness to our community and to people. You know, it's community is the people, you know, in the community, really.
Yeah.
And you're just your dedication, both of you, is just really, really moving and inspiring, totally inspiring. So I want to say goodbye. I want to thank both of you for being here with me, for taking the time. And continued success, really continued success. And I think more and more, there's more of a need for what you do and for other people to step up and try to do something too. So thanks so much.
Thank
I
you.
thank our technical director, Amar, who, when she's not doing things at the Brahma Kumari's Meditation Center, like helping out today, she's a pediatrician. So she's, Amar, show a picture of you. I don't know if you can get on, but Amar, Dr. Amar